I need to say something to you that most people won't. If you are a solo mom building a business and it feels a lot harder than it should, it's not because you're doing things wrong. It's because the business advice that's given is usually given to people who have support, and we don't. So, why are you still following it? Let's be honest. Most traditional business advice assumes things that you simply don't have. It assumes that you have a specific amount of time in the day that can be broken down and devoted directly to building a 6 or 7 figure business. You don't have that. I don't have that. In many cases, or most cases, somebody else is picking up the slack, right? Somebody else is caring for basic household duties or helping out with the kids, and the other person is devoted to just specifically focusing a certain measure of time every day, every week, over the course of the months to get launched, that you and I don't have. We just don't have that. We don't have the extra time. We don't have somebody picking up the slack. We don't have the ability to focus uninterrupted in most cases on most days. And we don't have this margin to fail and restart and then rest and reset. It just doesn't exist for us. I just want to let you know how unique you are. If you are a solo mom and you are trying to build and launch a business that will support your family, that will put food on the table, that will assure a college education for your kids, that will give you the ability to rest and actually be the parent and the mom you always dreamed of being, or you wanted to be, or is kind of sitting in your heart to be, you are so rare. You are so incredibly unique. I even put this information into ChatGPT. I was trying to get a gauge on how many of us are out there, how many of us exist. So I put in the parameters of the chat. I put how many multi-million-dollar businesses, let's say, pick a number, $2 million a year revenue and above. How many of those exist currently? And then it gave me a percentage. Okay, how many of those are female-owned and operated? Gave me a much smaller percentage. How many of those that are generating over $1 million or $2 million in revenue, who are female-owned, are owned by single mothers? And chat could barely come up with an actual, the parameters narrowed so deeply that chat could barely come up with a percentage. It's so incredibly rare. And basically chat's comment to me was, if this is you, you are 1 in a million. You are 1 in a million. If this is your intention and this is your focus and you don't have a choice, listen to me. I didn't have a choice. I had to create a business and an income and some freedom for my family. I had to. It wasn't an option. It wasn't a side hustle. It wasn't a fun hobby that turned into money-making activity. It was a need. It was a me praying and crying and what can I do? It was me feeling stuck for years and years. It was me juggling not only 4 kids, but one with special needs, and trying to figure out the best way to give everybody the attention that they required and needed, and also bring enough money into the household that would sustain us. And it felt literally impossible. It felt impossible. And it was a dark time for me for a while, until I broke through and created a pathway to building a business. And my business partner and I, who's also a single mom, we had an idea and we knew that a need needed to be fulfilled, and we were ready to show up for it. And it's not easy. It wasn't easy. It's not going to be easy. But if it were easy, everybody would be doing it, okay? And there wouldn't be any marketplace because everybody would be doing the same thing. So there's a weeding out process. This running a business is not for the faint of heart. Doing it while you're also solo parenting children, girl, I don't know how to gauge that, but it's extraordinary, and you are extraordinary. Okay. So jumping back to this idea of traditional advice. Okay. You have tried maybe to launch a business on your own. It doesn't feel like it's working. It's not taking off. What happens? You followed the advice. You followed the blueprint, right? Doesn't work. Okay. So what happens when it doesn't work is you feel behind. You feel like you failed. You feel scattered. You feel disorganized. You start wondering, is this ever going to work? Am I ever going to find something that sticks, that I can work, that's going to actually start producing? And you always feel like you should be doing more, right? But the truth is, you're not failing the strategy. The strategy is failing you, and it's going to every time until we do a reality check. By the way, if this is hitting home for you, you're exactly who I created this for. Solo moms don't need more hustle. You're already doing more than most. What you need is a culture of support that understands you and can troubleshoot with you. You need structure. You need a business plan, okay? You need a workflow. You need KPIs. You need SOPs, standard operating procedures. You need structure and frameworks for each portion of your business and also your life that will create a system that flows beautifully from each area of your life to the other, that fits inside of particular parameters that will create cohesiveness, okay? Not only do you need these structures in your business, you need a strategy and a structured game plan and a workflow. You also need it in your own life. What we deal with as single moms so often is mindset. It is self-doubt. It is the mindset. It is the operating in a mode of stress, right? Your adrenaline is heightened anyway because you're the chauffeur and you're the person who has to buy the shoes for basketball and you're the person that has to show up to the games and you have to be there for your kids to every capacity, right? So how can you possibly do this if it's all just up in the air? Right? We have to create some systems. By the way, systems and structure are really, really good for our kids. Kids need defined boundaries and they need structure. They need to understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, and they need guidelines and schedules that are actually beneficial to their own lives and their own ability to organize their priorities as they get older. We're always modeling for our kids. You need a decision-making framework so that you stop spinning and wondering and moving in multiple directions because this was going to work, but then I decided to do something. No, you need a decision-making framework by which you put every decision against that helps the decision become quicker and easier. You also need permission to stop doing things that don't matter. This is a season in your life when you're really going to be building something specific and the other people in your peripheral need to understand this, and you're going to need to be able to create now some very specific boundaries around and protect this thing. You are essentially raising another child. When you're launching a business as a single mom, think of it as another child to some degree. Obviously, your real children come first. They are your primary priority. You have to be able to care for them. You have to be able to provide for them. So this needs to be treated like another entity that you are growing and nurturing and cultivating and training. And a mindset has to be in place to prepare for all of that. What fundamental shift we really need to capture here is this isn't going to be about doing more. It's about doing what actually works for your life, not what works for the neighbor's life, not what works for Sally's life or your sister's life, what works for your life. And that's going to look very, very different. What worked for my life was very, very different than what worked for even a lot of other solo moms who had businesses, because I have 4 kids and I have one with special needs. So I was and am constantly still very involved in the business that I have that is related to young adults with special needs, and advocating and being a support system for that community as well. So it's going to look specific to you. Your blueprint needs to fit you, my friend, nobody else. It needs to fit you and your family and your goals and desires. This is exactly why I created Solo Boss Mom, because traditional advice misses us completely. It's not designed for us, doesn't fit. High capacity solo moms are building in impossible conditions. And let's face it, like, you don't need more motivation. You can find motivation anywhere. You can find motivation from the marketing bros, who by the way, all the marketing bros and the hustle guys and the guys in t-shirts and the internet guys and the affiliate marketing guys and these guys, they're fantastic. I give them a ton of credit. I would just ask, are any of them single parents? Are any of them single fathers with multiple children? I don't know. If they are, put it in the comments. I'd love to know, because you got to give credit where credit is due. I'm just saying, let's get out of the framework of most of the hustle and the hype that you hear out there, and let's get real. Let's just get real. Let's get real. Let's get authentic. Let's build something real that fits your family specifically. Okay. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more hustle. You need clarity and you need alignment. So if you're a solo mom building something bigger and you're tired of trying to force the strategies that don't actually fit your life, this is exactly why I created Solo Boss Mom. This is where we build real structure, real clarity, real intentionality, and real momentum. And we're going to do it in a way that works for you. Okay. If that's what's been missing for you, come on and join me on the inside. Okay. Tell me in the comments what's one piece of advice that you've tried. Maybe you've tried it a couple times that just doesn't work for you. Sharing kind of helps take the pressure off because we've all been there. So share in the comments. Thank you. So much love to you. Can't wait to see you in the next video.